Hey everyone, Tina Hogan Grant here with my Cuppa A Natter that I like to do every other Monday. I bring authors into my home and we talk about books, writing, or as an author, and whatever comes to mind. And tonight, Beth Pugh is joining me. How are you this evening, my dear?
I'm blessed, and you, ma'am?
I am doing really good. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining for you from Eastern Kentucky, about as far east as you can go and still stay in the state.
I love your accent.
Thank you.
I really do. I love your accent. Have you always grown up back in Kentucky?
Yes, actually, I live about 5 minutes from the holler I grew up in. And yes, I said holler, not hollow.
I was about to say, what was that again?
Uh, yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, before we start talking about your books, can you just give us a little background on you, whatever you want to share with the rest of the world and feel okay with?
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, so I am 36 years old, and I started the writing game very late in life. My mother passed away when I was 18 years old. I was a month shy of 19 years old. And when she passed away, a lot of my dreams died with her. I was very young. I didn't know how to handle grief, and I went into a really dark depression. And I stayed there for about 4 years. And during this time, I actually met my husband. We got married. I rededicated in church and started my relationship back with the Lord. And I thought I was doing well. And for a while, I did until my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And he was diagnosed with cancer back in 2017. He ended up passing away in 2018. And I talk a lot about my parents because truly they have made me who I am. And it is their life and their death that have kind of pushed my path to where it's brought me where I'm at today. So when my daddy passed away in 2018, I was afraid that I would go back into that depression and
Right.
to that dark place. And at the time, I had a 4-year-old, and I knew that I could not do that. I would not be able to function. I would not be able to take care of him um, if I did that again. So, in the same valley of death that my dreams died, the Lord resurrected my writing dream.
Hmm.
Yes, and he truly turned beauty from ashes. And I can take you to the place on the road where I was driving, and I feel like the Lord said, "It's now or never to chase your dreams." And so I started chasing, and I started chasing hard. And the book we're going to talk about tonight is actually the first book that I ever tried to write, and that made it to the shelves this year. And after that, I started thinking, what can I do to give myself more time to write? And I was like, I know, I'll go back to school for a master's of English so I could teach college English and I'll have summers off and I can teach. Well, I did not get a college English job. And instead, now I'm at the high school and I'm back in school a second time for, for my master's of teaching. And so that one decision, that one change to chase that dream, it changed everything about my life. And it's changed it in the span of about 4 years. So at that time, we have went back to school. We've earned a master's in English, written and edited 2 books, and changed careers.
Congratulations on your success. And I can totally relate with your parents passing. My condolences, by the way. My parents passed, both of them. My dad passed in 2010, and my mother passed, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. But about chasing your dreams, I completely relate because that's when I started writing. When my dad passed, he was also an author. And then a year later, I was diagnosed with cancer after his death. And I
Oh,
told myself, I always wanted to write one book. And I told myself, if I'm going to write a book, I better do it now because we have no idea how long we're going to be on this earth. And that is what inspired me to write, sadly, my dad passing and getting diagnosed with cancer. So I totally understand about chasing your dreams and turning a tragedy and an upset into something that's positive. So congratulations.
thank you. And I'm so glad that you're doing well, Miss Tina.
Yeah, I'm on book number 11. Comes out in 1 week.
That
Yay! I'm so excited. I'm so
is
excited.
congratulations.
Wait, 1 week. But before we continue, I do want to say hello to some of our readers. We have a lot of people joining us, and I will pop up some comments for you to see because I know you can't see them, huh?
No, I still can't see.
Okay, let me just pop through some comments. We got Karen here. She says, "Welcome, Beth."
Hello,
We
Kim.
have Paula. She says, "Hi."
Hi,
I'm
Paula.
just going down, letting you see who's here.
Okay.
Hold on. We have Janelle Jackson. She says, "Hello."
Hello.
We have Karen Geerling. She says, "Hello, Tina and Beth." Again, I'm talking with Beth Pugh from, I'm sorry, Connecticut?
Kentucky.
I knew it was a C, Kentucky. And we're going to be talking about her book in just a moment. But if you have any questions for Beth, go ahead and put them in the comments. I will get to as many as I can. Tina is here. She says, hey, ladies, look, someone else loves your accent. See this? Karen says, I love your accent.
Thank you.
We have Joyce from Texas. Hello, ladies. We have Darlene from, I'm sorry, Darlene says, Tina, hello, Tina and Beth. We have a couple of Facebook users, which tells me you're in my group, but I'm going to put a few of them up. This one says, hi, ladies. And then we have, so a couple of you, I can't see your names if you're in my private group. We have another Facebook user from Northeast Florida. Hello. Lori Chasco is here. We got a lot of people joining us tonight.
Hello, ladies. It is so nice to see you all.
Yes. And Elaine Sapp is here. I like including our readers. They're here to watch us. Lisa Murray, hi, ladies, coming to you from South Kentucky.
Hello, fellow Kentuckian.
Yay. Tina Rose is here. If you're in my group, you probably know a lot of these names. They are fantastic followers. They support our books. They're in the group almost every day. I love these guys. Okay, yes. Beth, thank you. Again, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments. I will try and get to many as I can. So, Beth, let's talk about, I guess this is your latest book, The Santa Run.
The Santa Run.
Now, let's see that cover. I love the cover of your book.
Oh, they're so good, didn't they?
I love that.
Doesn't it just
so on the cover, I am guessing it's a romance.
It is, yes.
And this is part of a series, correct?
Yes, ma'am. This is book 2.
And what's the name of the series?
It is Pine Valley Holiday Series. So they all revolve around holidays.
Okay. Now, what's the title of the first one? I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me.
The Valentine Proposal.
The Valentine Proposal. Book 2 is The Santa Run.
Yes.
I always ask this for people that write, authors that write series. When you wrote book 1, was your intention to have a series, or did it just kind of happen?
No, I intended to have a series. Well,
okay.
Sort of. So actually what happened was the Santa Run was written first. And yes, and so I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking, what can I do? What series could I do? What could I do next? And so the Valentine Proposal actually came out of that thought process in the middle of the night. And it was inspired by a couple of my friends from high school. So what had happened, they had said if neither of them were married at their 10-year reunion, that they would get married. And I remember this conversation. And now they were married. They did not get married. But they never dated in high school. And I always thought that was very interesting, that these were two people who were not like best friends. They were good friends. And I thought that concept was very interesting. And I thought, well, what if I make it a little bit more twisty and I say that they have to get married on Valentine's Day? And let's give them 6 weeks to do this.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So that's how the Valentine Proposal came. And so when we actually signed with my publisher, because of the dates, the way they fell, we actually flip-flopped the order. So the second book that came out was the first book that was written.
Isn't that strange how that happened? But
it worked out so well because
it sounds like it did.
So I was great with it.
Now, you said this is not inspired. The characters are, loosely based on some high school friends?
Yes. The characters themselves aren't really based on them, just the idea of the proposal.
Inspiration?
Yeah, the idea of the Valentine Proposal, the inspiration came from that one conversation that I could remember them. And cool enough, the friend that actually inspired that, she was a beta reader for the Valentine Proposal.
I love how one little tiny sentence or just something you look at can inspire an entire book.
Yes.
I just love hearing the background of how an author comes up with a storyline. Now, are you still in contact with these two from high school?
I am in contact with the girl from high school, and she's
Does she know?
Friends. She does know that this book.
Oh, how exciting for her.
She actually is in the acknowledgments. The gentleman I have not been able to get up with, but I don't know if he would remember the conversation or not. It's an AP English class, and I can remember it, and that's just what happened with the Valentine Proposal. So, Stephen King, I believe it was talking about how every fiction has a kernel of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And, And the same is true with the Santa Run. It is actually inspired by a real life event that happens in close to my hometown.
Well, I've been doing these chats now for about 2 years, going on 2 years. I can't believe it's been that long. And every single author, I can't think of one that has not. There's some element of whether it be a person they know or something they've experienced in their book.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the author's not going to acknowledge it to the readers most of the time, unless you know that author and you read their books. I mean, my group, they know everything about me. So if they see something in my book, oh, Tina told us about that in my group. So they'll probably know everything about me that's in the book. That my trilogy is based on me, so that's totally everything about me. But in my other series, yeah, there's things I pop in there, and it seems like every author does that. There's a little element.
And the town that both books take place in is inspired by the city that's close to me. So it's inspired by my little hometown of Eastern Kentucky. But the cool thing about it is, like, so since my high school friends inspired the Valentine proposal, I actually have a little nod to our mascot in there. So I mentioned the mascot that's in there. And so my friends that have purchased the book, I'm like, be sure to look for the cameo there.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that, because in my latest book that's coming out next week, I post pictures of who I call Toby the squirrel. He's right outside my kitchen window every day in my bird feeders. Well, he's now in my next book, and he's called Toby. So these readers that read this next book go, oh, I know who Toby is. You know? So we always drop little things, huh?
I love including animals. I know that, so I know we're talking about the Santa Run today, and I know I keep going back to the Valentine proposal, but there's
okay.
In the Valentine proposal. And for those of you who have read it, you know what scene I'm talking about. And there is a wild animal that gets into the house, and it's actually a possum. Okay. This is based on real life. A possum get into my house. We lived in a trailer. It was me and my husband when he was in pharmacy school. He had a huge test the next day. And this possum gets in our house under our sink. And my dad is sick and in the hospital at this point. And so I'm calling his friend, and I'm like, what do I do to get this possum out of my house? What do I do? And he says, hit it, Beth. It'll play possum. And so we try this. It does not play possum because it's a baby, and it doesn't know to play possum yet. So I actually said, boys, I'm going to bed. And I left my husband and my first cousin in the kitchen with the possum and said, peace out. I'm going to sleep.
You're done. But you put it in your book. You put it in the book.
The book. There's a possum.
Yeah. I had a bear in my car. I live up in the mountains. So a bear got in my car. That bear is in my book. Experiences will show up in our stories. They really will. When it comes to this series, okay, yeah, book 1 and book 2, are there going to be more?
Lord willing. My agent is shopping book 3. My publisher did decide to pass on book 3.
Okay.
I know that these things happen. My agent is shopping book 3 to publishers, and if we do not find a home for it, I do believe we will end up indie publishing to get book 3 out there.
I would. I mean, I went with the publisher at the beginning, and now I self-publish. And it's all based on your own choice, what works for you. And for me, to be honest with the publishing, I wanted to be in control. That was my main issue. And when I went through the publisher, I had no control. Right. But it's all on what works for you. Some people like that relief of not designing the cover or not dealing with other aspects of publishing a book, and that's why they go with a publisher. Right. But if you can't find a publisher, I highly recommend indie. Give it a go. You never know.
Give it a go if we can't do that, because I feel like there's readers for these stories. I feel like the readers would enjoy this. I get people that are like, are we having a book 3? Who's coming up next? What are we doing? And you already have these characters in place. Each book is a standalone, so they don't follow the same couple in each book. There you go. So I already have the next setup for the couple, and then the couple after that.
Sweet. Well, keep on writing, and you get a publisher or your indie author. That's exciting. Do you plot your books, or do you just sit down and do you write?
I'm a pantser.
That's me.
Bad. I am. And I'll tell you what happened. I bought a writing book, and I was wanting to read this. It was Save the Cat, Writes a Novel. Fabulous book. me into writer's block. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't make this happen. And my book, I didn't do that with the first 2 books. Is my book trash? Oh my gosh. So I completely got locked up, and it took me a very long time to be able to get out of that, and to understand that my process may be different, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
No, it's what works for you. I tried plotting, and for me, it was a disaster, just a disaster. And the characters took over and said, I would never do this. I'm doing what I want to do. And I just went with what was in my head.
Yeah.
And after that book, it's like, okay, I'm not going to try and plot another book. And I won't. For me, it works just to sit down. And I just, as soon as I start writing, they start talking to me. As crazy as that sounds, but
No.
you understand.
Oh. So interestingly enough, that when I start a book, I usually have to have a title first. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Does it ever change?
The title can change, such as like the Valentine Proposal. It was originally the Valentine Agreement.
Okay.
So it didn't majorly change. The Santa run stayed the same. But normally when I have a title, then I can work outward. Everything spirals from that
title. Okay.
And work outward and go from there. When I do start to write, I don't want to say that I plot, but I like to have a loose outline. And I have to do this on unlined paper. So
no lines?
Unlined paper.
No lines.
And what I have to know is like the first 3 chapters, like the major scenes in each chapter. And then I can go from there. But I like to have 3 chapters. And normally then when I get those 3, I'll stop and I'll be like, okay, where are we going from here? And then we go. Normally I know the ending somewhat. I won't say I know it completely. But I know the ending somewhat.
And will that ever change? The ending, like you have in your head, how you think, or no, should I say, the book is going to end. But has that ever switched on you and it's got a completely different ending?
It has not completely gone a different ending, but I have had it added to.
Okay.
So like I know per se that this X is going to happen, and something is going to save the day. You know, the day is going to be saved, but how the day is saved changes often.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I do want to pause. We have quite a few questions for you. I'm going to bring a few up for you. I'm going to start right here with Beth. Quite a long question. Beth, do your characters ever wake you up at night, interfere with meals, driving, etc.? Do they ever argue with you? If so, who usually wins? You got 4 questions there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'll read that up.
Do my characters ever wake me up at night? Normally, no, because I love my sleep. Once I'm a night owl, so once I go to sleep, I sleep very soundly. I normally don't even dream. I'm not one of these writers that would wake up from a dream and be like, that's it.
I can never, if I do dream, I don't remember them.
I'm with you on that. Very rare. The ones I do remember are not worth mentioning because they're sad.
Maybe there's a reason why I don't want to remember them. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
Do they interfere with meals? Yes, because often I will be talking to my husband and all of a sudden I'll have an epiphany and I'll say, they have to have a block party. And he'll say, who? Who has to have a block party? And so then I proceed to tell him the characters. He says, you're going to have to stop talking about these people like they're real. And I say, but they are real. They're real. Friends. So yes, it interferes with meals. It interferes with driving. I have passed exits before because I have been thinking, yeah, it's bad. They don't usually argue with me. More along the lines of, it's really interesting in that I feel like a movie kind of plays in my head and I'm the one who gets to see and hear the movie. So then once I see and hear the movie, I just transpose what happens.
That makes sense. I like that. I'm glad they don't argue with you. Some of mine will argue with me, but I try to win, but a lot of times I don't.
The characters are very stubborn.
Yeah. Very.
And it's like that when I read too, actually. I get so into books that I will come up and I'll say, I just watched this movie last night, and I'll start talking about it. And I'll be like, wait, no, I didn't watch it. I read it. Because I'm very vivid. And now that I teach English, it took me aback to realize that not all readers have this movie that plays in their head.
Right.
Because when I was growing up, I just assumed that was how it all worked for everybody. But it doesn't.
Now, you're talking about movies. Do you like to read the book before watching a movie?
Yes, always.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too. So we got all of the ones in that question, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got some more questions for you. Here we go. Tina Rose, how do you come up with names and ideas?
Okay. So names, I really like alliteration. So, and I'll just keep trying names until they fit together. For example, in the Valentine proposal, we have Mason Montgomery. And I just really liked the way that rolled. Interestingly, in the Santa run, it is actually a nod to my favorite novel of all time. So my characters are Elizabeth and Ben. So where do you think that came from, Tina?
Ah,
Yeah, we have, well, I'm sorry, not Elizabeth. We have Eliza. We have Eliza Lee.
Eliza, okay.
And so that came from Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, because I adore that book. So that was my nod to them. There's also a pastor in the town, and his name is Pastor Clemens. So that was a nod to Mark Twain.
There you go. Okay.
I'm always trying to pay tribute to those people that I adore.
I love hearing how names, come up in the books. And I like the fact that you take time to think of the correct name that means something to you,
Yes.
but also fits the story or the character of the book.
In the Santa run are super, super special to me. Actually, the parents in it are super special because the dad's initials, his name is Luke James, but they call him LJ. And my dad's initials were LJ. So that was to my daddy. And the mom, her name is actually Deb. And so in the book, they call her Mama Deb, and my mama's name was Debbie. So I made sure to pay tribute.
Perfect. That's perfect. Now, I did mention, or we both did, that the books are romance. Mm-hmm. Are there any other genres connected to those? I'm going to put up this question too from Tina, because she's asking, what genre do you want to write that you haven't yet? So let's go back to the series first. The romance, any other genres involved?
Christian contemporary. So there are faith elements in the books. In addition to that, I have a short story that is in a Christmas Cookies, and it is a collaboration of, I think, 13 authors or 14, one of which is one of the Oak Ridge Boys, Joe Bonzel.
Oh, cool.
It was my first attempt at suspense, and that short story, each story was spun from a title on their CD. So their Christmas Cookie album, each author took the title and spun a story from it, a suspense story.
Now that is fun. I've never heard of that done before. Fun. Now, what song did you write about?
Away in a Manger.
Oh, perfect.
And it actually was a finalist in the Selah Awards this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Now, Tina did ask, are there any other genres that you would like to try?
I would like to try a cozy mystery. I have not done that.
That would be fun.
But
I love reading them, but I'm not sure if I could write them. I love reading cozy mysteries.
I'm having trouble with the fact that I want to throw more romance in there than should be.
There you go. There you go. We have a question from Lori. She's asking, do you like to read the same kind of books you write or mix it up?
I like to mix it up. When I was in grad school, much of my time was spent in classics, but I adore the classics.
Me too.
I love I can read a contemporary romance and then we'll go back to a classic. There's so many classics that are still on my list to be read. For example, To Kill a Mockingbird. I actually just was able to finish that because we're teaching it in English right now. So all of my kids are now doing To Kill a Mockingbird, and I just finished it a couple of months ago. So that was
I mean, it's been years since I've read it, but it's a brilliant book, and we read it in school too.
Oh, fantastic. But I love classics. I'm just getting into historical. I really seem to like the dual timeline that has a historical and a contemporary. I feel like I get the best of both worlds that way. So I read some nonfiction, but not often.
Right. I read nonfiction as something I want to learn about. That's it. Something I need to learn or, advice on or whatever. That's when I'll read nonfiction. But other than that, my favorite is like you, historical fiction, cozy mysteries. And I like a good thriller once in a while. I do like a good thriller.
If you like a good thriller, might I suggest picking up Her Darkest Secret by Jessica R. Patch.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Her Darkest. Now, I've not heard of this author. What was her name again? I'm sorry.
Jessica R. Patch. So she is a Christian author. She writes some rom-com or sweet. She writes some sweet stories. She writes for Love Inspired in the suspense. But this newest one is, well, she actually has a new one coming out. It's a series. But the first one is Her Darkest Secret, and it follows a serial killer. And there are even some points of view from the serial killer.
Oh, wow.
And the serial killer actually leaves nursery rhymes behind. And it is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll have to check that out. And I'm sure she's going to appreciate the shout out you just gave her.
totally honest because I don't read thrillers, and I had to stay awake after dark to read.
Oh.
And was like, "You're not keeping me awake if you finish this book."
Well, I'll definitely check it out. I'm sure you're the same way. We both work full time. We both want to write our books. And it's like, I wish I had more time to read.
Yes.
I get frustrated because, I like to review books for authors.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem is I am reading your book, but I'm just not reading as fast as our readers,
Right, yeah.
It'll take me a month to read one book. And these guys that are watching this now, they can, read a lot more than I can. But I get there. I just wish I had more time to read.
Oh, me
I
too.
really do. But I would definitely add this one to my list, my ever-growing list.
I love it. I had a student come in today, and the student was like, "Do you have any book recommendations, Miss P?" And so that was the one I recommended for her because she said she likes the
thrillers.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely check it out. Okay, I'm going to take a couple more questions. Let me see. Hold on. Here's a good one from Lisa Murray. If you could be a character for a day, who and why?
And this is a book character, right? Or can we go?
I'm giving you the question because Lisa said she's asking me the same question.
Okay.
Not Tammy, because Tammy is me in my books. But I'm going to let you answer the question with your books.
If I could be a character for a day. So one of my characters? Or just any character?
I think it's in your books. I believe it's your books.
Okay, if I could be a character in my book, I would be Emma Lou.
Emma Lou? And now which book is she in?
Yeah. She is a side character in the Santa Run and in the Valentine Proposal. And she is our heroine in book 3.
Okay.
She is a kindergarten teacher. She is extremely bubbly. She is extremely fun, and she's always upbeat. And I just adore her.
Great. All right. Excellent. I like that. Okay, couple more because we are going to get a treat from you. You are going to read us an excerpt from your book.
Yes, ma'am.
But I want to just try and get a couple more questions. I did see a couple more that I did want to put up. Okay, I'm going to put this one up. I'm not sure if we answered in our last book. Karen's asking, what genre do you like to read?
Oh, I really love I love contemporary Christian. I like reading the Love Inspired books because they're a real quick read. I love sports romance too, though.
Okay.
Real big sports romance person.
Okay. Do you think you'll write some sports romance?
I hope so.
Okay.
Yes, I hope so. And in fact, in most of my books, you'll find sports play some element. So, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Is there a genre that you are not fond of that you won't read?
Not per se a genre, but a trope. I will never ever read like the student teacher or like the
that's understandable.
Or the stepsister, and that was even before I started teaching. I would never read any of those.
That makes sense.
That
totally makes sense.
No.
Yeah. Okay. One more question, and then I'm going to hand it over to you to read from your book. This one from Karen. Besides teaching and reading, what are your hobbies?
This is difficult. Because besides teaching and reading and writing, I don't do much.
There's nothing left in the day, right?
No, there's nothing else in the day. I guess sports. I'm a huge sports fan. I love sports of all kinds. We love baseball. We love football. We love basketball. But we don't watch basketball in our house until March Madness because my husband, God bless his soul, he used to be a Duke fan. And I'm a Kentucky fan. And for all out there, they know that does not work. I've often joked with him if he was anyone else that I'd never marry him.
No basketball in the house.
No, until March Madness, and even then, it's touch and go. As long as we're not watching Kentucky, then we're okay. But when we watch Kentucky, when they lose, he gets this little, "I'm sorry, baby," and I know he's not sorry. So then, it's rough for us.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm excited. I love it when authors read the book.
Okay.
And it's all yours, my dear.
All right. Well, I'm going to read chapter 2 from the Santa Run.
Okay, let's see that cover one more time. I love your cover. Okay, chapter 2.
Yes, ma'am. Chapter 2. And this will be from Bennett's point of view.
Okay.
Okay. Bennett sat in the driver's seat, weighing the need to get out and stretch against the longing to curl up for a nap. The drive had been long, and the soreness in his legs proved it. Tense muscles were a small price to pay, though. The feeling of a road trip was irreplaceable, and he'd made this one worth his while. Now it was time to get to work with Expand Kentucky, his father's latest project and the first acquisition of McCoy Railway. Bennett glanced at the box of donuts in the passenger seat. Hot and fresh from Country Confections, the only bakery he'd come across in the small town of Pine Valley, Kentucky. Smitten from the first whiff of glazy goodness, he'd promised himself he'd come back again while waiting in line to order. The place was a breath of fresh air, with its verse of the day whiteboard, prayer box, and free coffee. It was the sweet escape from the city he'd been looking for. The whole town was. From the moment Bennett passed the green and white Pine Valley sign, his stress had fallen away. Most of the trees were now bare. The fallen leaves blanketed the ground with faded autumn colors, still beautiful despite the dulling hues. The first signs of Christmas dotted the streets, and the B&B Inn he was staying at already had their tree up in the lobby, even though Thanksgiving was still over a week away. Initially, Bennett thought the early decorations were just a Southern thing, but after chatting with a couple of the guests during breakfast at the inn, he'd surmised the town usually had a big community event, one of the Christmas variety, the first weekend in December, which explained Pine Valley's holiday fast-forward as preparation. Even more interesting, the Appalachian Express assisted with the event, a fact Bennett did not look forward to relaying to Pops. The passing of Bennett's mother, 2 weeks before Christmas, had ruined the holiday for his father. While Bennett had been able to rekindle holiday cheer, his father refused to even try. The bitterness he continued to harbor would make the discussion difficult. But when his father's financial discipline was added to the mix, Bennett feared the conversation would be unbearable. Worse than if the event threw off the budget. A ding sounded as his phone lit up. The text notification proved his father's financial devotion. Do what needs to be done, but keep a tight rein on the spending. Really, Pops? Not even a hello? At least this time, his father wasn't backing out of vacation. Bennett rolled his eyes as the memory of the last week streaked through his mind. What he'd thought had been a breakthrough with his father ended up as a backtrack of epic proportions. How had he been so blind? Bennett had seen what he wanted to see. That's how. A caring father ready to mend their broken relationship with a quick trip upstate to the Adirondack Mountains. The father Bennett prayed for every night never showed, though. Instead, he transformed from Pops into Mr. McCoy, the savvy businessman who needed to get to the office and strike while the iron was hot. His father's plan had worked, and Expand Kentucky was full steam ahead as McCoy Railway secured its first acquisition by purchasing the Appalachian Express. The addition had sent Bennett from the city to the mountains. After tapping out a reply to his father's text, Bennett glanced in the rearview mirror. The man looking back at him was one he hardly recognized. All his ties had been left in the city, folded neatly in the top drawer of his dresser. A khaki sport coat and navy sweater had replaced his collared button-down, and after a week without shaving, his stubble had sprouted into an almost full beard. Bennett ran his hand across his jawbone and down his chin. The new hairs stiffened against his palm. No shave November? An excited grin broke loose as the truth settled in. Looks didn't matter today. At the Appalachian Express, Bennett was free, separated from the reputation he sought to uphold, and miles away from footsteps expecting him to follow. Carefully, he transferred the pastries from the seat to his lap. As he did, his vision snagged on the passenger door compartment. A bright pink scrunchie lay forgotten. How did I miss that? Should he message Janet and tell her he found it? If Bennett were still in the city, he could simply take the elevator down to the bottom floor of the office complex and find her. Not that he would have. That nearness had been partially what prompted him to take the job in Kentucky when his father proposed it. Having his ex-girlfriend start work in his building a week after the breakup hit harder than Bennett had expected. He had no desire to restart the relationship, but seeing her every day made him question their time together, or rather, the lack thereof. that had caused her to leave him. Refocusing on the task at hand instead of his romantic failure, Bennett opened the door and slid out. He pressed the box against his chest while he shut the door. The November chill greeted him, making him quicken his steps. Upon reaching the front stoop, Bennett stomped to clean off any stray leaves he may have picked up as a gust of wind blew around him. The blast forced his gaze from the straw mat below to the entrance in front of him. A holiday wreath welcomed him. The grapevine circle surrounded a whimsical snowman, while curled strands of satin ribbon in bright white flowed freely from the bottom. Confusion bloomed like the mesh bow before him. Had he done the right thing by coming to Kentucky? Sure, he wanted some distance between himself and Janet, but his eagerness in leaving the city ran deeper than getting away from his ex-girlfriend. Bennett searched his heart. Lord, why did I agree to this? He shook his head as the answer came. Project Pops. His plan to reconcile with his father, perhaps a temporary break from the city, and from each other, might be just what the doctor ordered. Despite working together, Bennett and his father remained like ships passing in the night, sharing the same ocean, but nothing more. Miles apart might put them in the same bay. Distance had helped connect their hearts before. Why not again? McCoy Railway had gifted him a last chance to make his father proud. Get in, get the job done, get out, get his dad back. Bennett stood straighter as he repositioned his hand under the bottom of the donuts, resigned to be the man his father needed him to be, but his way. There had to be a happy medium between busy and the burnout plaguing him, between career and the family he longed for. Bennett was counting on his time in Kentucky to serve as clarification of that fact. Still holding the doorknob, Bennett wondered if a knock was necessary. No, they're expecting me. Before changing his mind, Bennett pushed the door open, shoving aside his uneasy questions with it. Hot air laced with the scent of dust filled his lungs. A sneeze worked its way to the end of his nose, making it wiggle. He tightened the grip on the pastries and turned to face into his shoulder before the sneeze finally escaped. His eyes popped open to find the receptionist watching him. The sudden attention made his cheeks burn before he regained composure, reminding himself it was only a sneeze. Everyone sneezes. Let me help you. The lady with a kind smile and a very pregnant belly dissolved the awkward silence as she rose from her chair. Gingerly, she took the box from his hands and disappeared down the hall. In mere seconds, she was back in front of him, handing him a tissue. Thank you, Miss Hannah, and you're most welcome. Mr. Olson with McCoy Railway, I presume? Her eyebrows rose as she posed the question, and Bennett nodded, deciding right away he liked the tone of the office. No titles, first name only. He could get used to this. Bennett, please, no Mr. and no Sir. Such titles were reserved for people who needed to feel important, who thrived on empty accolades and impressive appearances. People like his CEO father. At the New York office, Bennett continually corrected the staff, especially when a new hire slipped and referred to him as Mr. McCoy. The mistake was easy to make. A biological father and son should share a last name, but Bennett and his father were the exception. Their familiar relationship was a complicated matter, one lending different monikers despite the blood that bonded them. Realizing Hannah remained standing to be polite, Bennett pointed to her seat. Please, sit. Thanks, I sure appreciate that. It's getting harder for me by the day. She looked up as she placed her hand atop her stomach. What can I do for you? I'm looking for... He glanced at the paper he'd nearly forgotten he was holding. Lee Elliott. May I speak with him? Lee? The young lady searched his face like she was working a puzzle without all the pieces to make it whole. Yes, my associate gave me a contact name of Lee Elliott. Bennett shed his coat and hung it on the rack in the corner. He double-checked the yellow slip in his hand, making sure he'd asked for the right person. Though he'd sent out the mass email alerting the crew of his arrival, he didn't remember a single name from the list. The paper he held served as a lifeline, and clearly it said Lee Elliott. Excuse me? A voice somewhere behind him spoke up. Bennett turned the hall where a woman now stood. Her green eyes shimmered, even under the poor lighting of the office, and her dark hair cascaded over her shoulders. She tugged on a slouchy sweater that engulfed her petite frame, before listlessly taking hold of a heart locket around her neck. The action gave Bennett a good look at her left hand. No bracelets or rings, he noted, realizing he shouldn't be noticing such things. Bennett threw a sheepish grin and stepped back. She passed and stopped beside him. Her fresh face of ivory skin, smooth and fair, lit up as she smiled. Did you call for Lee Elliott? Yes, I did, Bennett answered, trying to catch his off-the-track thoughts, currently concentrating on the pink of her lips. He snapped his eyes up to meet her gaze. Do you know where I can find him? I sure do. She wiped her palms down the thighs of her jeans and offered her right hand. Right here. But it's Eliza Lee Elliott. And you are?
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed that. And I want to put up some comments.
Okay.
We all enjoyed that. I love hearing authors read. Okay, we have Karen says, love this chapter.
Thank you.
We have Lori, your book sounds so delightful.
Oh, thank you.
Paula, sounds interesting. I'm not sure who this is, but it's okay, wait, I'm clicking on the wrong one. Sorry. This is Facebook user, love live readings. Tina Rose, sounds good. Just want to give you some feedback here.
Oh,
And
thank
then
you.
someone had a question while you were reading. I want to pop that up. Of course, it's gone now that I'm not here. Great reading, Tina says. Elaine says, thank you for reading the chapter.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, I enjoyed it. Danielle, I love that. I'm excited to see what happens now. Written beautifully.
Thank you.
But there was a question. They come down so fast, and of course it's gone. Oh, here it is from Karen. She's asking, can Santa Run be read before Valentine Proposal?
Yes, it can. The main couple in the Valentine Proposal does make an appearance in the Santa Run, but it won't spoil any of the story. I mean, you know that they're together. That's basically what you know, but you have no idea how the couple gets together.
Oh, I like it. I like. Now, in the third book, you're writing the third book, or you've written the third book? You're writing it right now?
Yes.
Do any of the characters from book 1 and 2 make an appearance?
All of them.
Oh, nice.
Yes. All of it happens in Pine Valley, Kentucky. So Emma Lou is actually Lily Ann's best friend. And Lily Ann is the star of the Valentine Proposal. Emma Lou also plays an appearance in the Santa Run. She ended up being friends with Eliza Lee as well. So she's kind of the bond between the two. Lily Ann was very much a loner. So she didn't really get to know Eliza until after high school. But Emma Lou is both of their best friends.
Oh, nice. Okay, and I do want to pop this coming up from Barbara. She said, thank you for the reading. I won a copy of the Santa Run from Beth and enjoyed it very much.
Oh, thank you, Barbara. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
So I wanted to put that up. Tina Rose is asking, how many books have you written?
2.
2?
2, yes.
And I think it might have been, well, someone asked, I don't want to give a wrong name, earlier on, and I didn't click on it fast enough. And we have spam right here. I hate people that do spam. Anyways, they're asking, she asked, how long does it take you to write a book?
The first book, I started writing it in May of 2018, and it was finished by February of 2023.
Okay.
Not 2023, I'm sorry, 2019. So I actually did it that way because Hallmark had open submissions to unagented authors.
Oh.
I submitted it on my mom's birthday. It goes back to them, and so it was on her birthday. Now, it went through several changes from then till now, but that was how long it took. And the Valentine Proposal was finished in less than a year as well.
That's great. Now, do you write every day?
No, I do not.
I'm going to say, when you're a full-time teacher and you're a mom, how many children do you have? Just one?
I have one little boy, and he is 9, and he plays basketball and football.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So when you do write, is it morning, evenings, or just when you can?
Not usually.
When the house is quiet. That's when I tend to write.
I love when the house is quiet, and I love at night. I would rather write at night. I can't write in the mornings. My brain isn't working. There's no there.
Yeah. I tried that once at 4:00 in the morning. I tried getting up, and I spent more time drinking coffee and trying to wake up versus writing. And by the time I was awake, everyone else was too. So, okay, that doesn't work.
That was me too. Like, I'm not awake. I'm not a morning person. By the time I get to school, I'm good. But before I get there, like, my husband is a morning person, and he'll be trying to show me videos, and I'm like, what?
My husband is too. But nighttime, when the house is quiet, and the dogs, we have 2 dogs, they have to be quiet too. And I'll usually start writing around 10 and get done about 1. So for me, nights work.
That sounds about right. For me, that is right around the time I'm doing grading right now. My kids often, they show a timestamp when I do anything on Google Classroom. And some will be like, Miss P, why were you awake at 2:00 in the morning? It's like, because I'm working on your stuff, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, A lot of people have different names for this. Some people call it writer's block. Some people say the characters aren't talking to them. When you are stumped, I just say stumped. I don't. How do you do anything to resolve it? Do you try and fight it, or do you just walk away? Do you have something that you do when
Yeah,
you just not getting any words down?
I go back to my unlined notebook.
The unlined. I like this unlined.
Unlined, but I start to sketch again. And it looks like I don't do it all the time. Like I don't need it for every chapter. But I think there's like 3 or 4 pages that I could show you from the Valentine proposal of this was my rough draft. And there's a couple of sheets from the Santa run. And that unlined paper, being able to handwrite it and to get it all down, that helps me a lot. If I'm having trouble with reorganizing chapters or reorganizing a timeline, again, I go back to that paper. Something to do with the paper and the pencil.
That's it. Physically writing something down and looking
Yeah.
at it. I totally understand that. Here's a Facebook user question for you. I'm sorry I can't see your name. You're in my group. She's asking, with the holidays upon us, have you got your decorations up? And
Yeah.
I'll ask you that. Are you ready for the holidays?
Oh, I'm so ready for the holidays. So there's my Christmas tree is up, of course. We don't do much decoration other than that. We just have our Christmas tree.
Right.
But now my Christmas tree will stay up until after my birthday in January.
Oh, when's your birthday?
January 10th.
Nice. And mine's New Year's Eve.
Oh, well.
And my son's is the 29th. So we have a few birthdays coming up.
Yeah. So I always keep my Christmas tree up till then. And there's a Christmas tree in my classroom as well. My husband went with me and helped me decorate the weekend after Thanksgiving. So we have our own Christmas tree, and I have Snoopy snowflakes hanging from the ceiling.
I love that.
In the classroom.
Do you have the real tree or do you get the fake tree?
Oh, we do fake tree.
We do fake tree? Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. Now, with your 2 books, you've written 2 books along with the anthologies that you're part of. What do you do to celebrate? Because I mean, it's huge, especially your first book. Well, no, they're all huge. Every book is a great achievement. So when your book's out, it's published, it's out there in the book world, what do you do to celebrate?
I get ice cream.
Ah, there you go. What's your favorite flavor?
Ice cream. I normally from Dairy Queen.
Nice. Nice. Now, does your husband read your books?
There's a funny story about that. So he normally will not read anything. He says, I'm not reading it until it's in print. Okay, that's what he says. So for Valentine's Day this year, the Valentine proposal was published on February 1st. Okay. So Valentine's Day is coming up and he's all upset. And so he ends up telling me what my present was supposed to be. And he had actually gotten in touch with one of our beta readers that is a mutual friend. And he got her to send him one of the unproofed copies of the Valentine proposal. And he read it. And then he left a review on Amazon for me.
No.
And that was part of my Valentine's Day present. Now, and I know Amazon doesn't want people to let you know to write reviews. So I actually made him take it down. But I snapped a photo of it.
Oh, there you go.
I snapped a photo of it before that happened. And he wrote an honest review on the proposal. So.
Oh, that's a sweet. My husband reads all my books. He does. But he waits till print too.
Yeah.
So.
They don't like it when we change things.
No. Karen also has read one of your books. She says, I got a knock. I enjoyed reading this book and well worth the read.
Thank you, Karen.
So I wanted to put these up. I'm putting up some more comments real quick. Lisa Murray, my aunt is December 31st. January is stacked. 1st is my brother-in-law. 2nd, my husband. 16th. Oh, wow. She has a full month.
Oh,
Good
you
Lord.
have January. And
another Facebook user is asking, was there any other career you were considering?
yes, my dream job when I was in high school, they actually used to have a competition on ESPN called The Dream Job, and I wanted to be a sports broadcaster.
Oh, that would be fun. And
Yeah.
plus, you say you love sports, and you have the great accent and the voice for it. I could see you doing that.
Maybe like in the next 10 years. Who knows? I mean, we've already changed careers once. Why not try again?
Why not? No, you sound like you're doing really good with your writing. It really does. When you are writing, do you have, hold on, I'm just trying to go through this. Excuse me. Do you have a favorite place to write?
Normally on the couch. normally on the couch or in the bed while everyone else is asleep. I will cover up.
Your husband next to you?
Yeah, I can get really comfortable in there, and I'm cold by nature, so I have to have blankets on all the time. So I can just really get comfortable there, and I love it when nobody's home, and I can just go in there and have all my covers around me, and with my laptop.
There you go, cozy.
Oh,
All
but
cozy.
I love writing in the study room in the library, and part of the reason I love it is because you can actually hear the train go by.
Oh, okay.
So all of my life, I have been somewhere that I could hear a train whistle, and I guess trains are so romantic to me, which is part of the reason that I wrote about a train ride. But that's actually a real event in Kentucky. It starts at the Shelbyana Train Yard. Now, the Shelbyana Train Yard, I could hear the bell, whistle from my house when I was growing up. And now I live around 5 or 10 minutes away from where I lived before, and we're right across the riverbank, and I can still hear the train.
Oh, wow. Because
Yeah.
you've been there your whole life, you said. So that's
Yeah.
another element of your life in your book.
Yes, and my dream vacation, when my little boy is old enough and he doesn't need me anymore, and my husband is okay with me, like, yeah, go ahead, have fun. My dream vacation is to go on a 2-week train ride. They have cars for riders. And this was before I even started riding, like riding seriously. This had been my dream, is just to go on the train car, to watch the scenery go by, and to ride for 2 weeks.
That sounds like a blast. That sounds perfect.
Doesn't it?
It does. It sounds perfect. It really does. Other than the train in the background, do you like to write? I'm not going to say in silence because you have the train, but do you have music going or any kind of, nope, just silence?
Never. I cannot. And some people don't listen to music with words, but I've never been one who listens to instrumental.
Yeah.
So, and I like to write songs. So, yes. So, I actually started writing songs before I ever wrote short stories. Poetry was my thing. We did a writing portfolio in high school. I wouldn't even write a short story because I was not comfortable writing a short story, like work of fiction. I would rather do a poem. And so, God,
I wouldn't know where to begin to write poetry. Are you going to publish any of your poems?
I hope so eventually. Those are and my dream, another dream that I have, is to have a song out on the radio, one that I have written. I don't have to sing it, just one that I have written. That's one of my other goals that I have.
I like that. Do you sing too, or just write?
I do. I sing in church.
Any instruments do you play?
No, I did try to play the guitar. I can do a C chord, and that's a C and G, and that's about it.
I can't sing a note. But if you sing in the choir, why would you not want to sing your own songs?
Because
You
my
must have a beautiful voice.
It's not strong enough. There are so many more people who would be able to do it better than me. Yeah.
Speaking of our voice, your books, are they on audio?
The first one is on audio.
Good.
The second one may be coming to audio very shortly. It has not been announced, but it's very possible.
Now, if you have the second one, will it be the same voice, the same narrator as the first one?
That was the publisher's hope, but I have not heard back.
Okay. Well, I'll cross my fingers for you that it happens.
Thank you.
You should do it. You got a beautiful accent. You should. No? That's what I say when people say I should do mine. Like, no. Someone else do it. This has been a brilliant chat. I'm looking at our time, but I want to have one final question to you, and that is, what advice do you give to aspiring writers or authors that want to have the success or on the same path as that you're on? What advice can you give them?
Do it. Right. Do not put it off. For years and years, my husband said, you want to write a book. And I kept saying, I don't know how. Well, guess what, Miss Tina? I still don't know how. And that is okay. Do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
If no one else reads it but you, do it anyway.
Great advice. I love that. We're going to end this with a giveaway. I mean, I love talking to you. I love your bubbly personality. Your books sound fantastic. You're on the right path. You're doing really good. Congratulations on the books you've written and the anthology. But you are doing a giveaway, so I appreciate that. So I'm going to let you tell our readers what you're going to give away.
Okay. I'm going to be giving away an ebook copy of The Santa Run.
Okay.
And we'll just pick those from the comments. I'll go back through all the comments, and I will put a post up with the winner, if that's okay, Miss Tina.
That is perfectly fine. Now, the only thing I want you to make sure you do is you go to, because we have a few Facebook users, their name will show up once the live is ended.
Okay.
But you need to pick a name either from my group or my author page. Now, I can send you the link to both.
Okay.
Because once we are not live, those comments separate to each page. Right now, I'm getting a feed from both.
Right.
So I will send you the links right after this chat, so you can go pick a winner. And if you don't mind announcing it in the group also.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'll announce it on my author page, because I don't know, you can post on there, but I will do it for you. But go ahead and announce it in the group. And I know there's many questions that I did not get to, so feel free to scroll while you're picking a winner and answer any questions that we skipped. Yes, and I'm also going to do my regular giveaway, which is a $5 Amazon gift card. Most of you know how this works. You need to go to my author page, Tina Hogan Grant Author, and you share this video to your favorite groups, your favorite friends, your reading groups, and tag me so I know that you shared the video. And one of you will get a $5 Amazon gift card, and I will announce that tonight also. But Beth, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much, Miss Tina. I have enjoyed this so much. Thank you. I've loved it.
And you know what? I'm going to have to put it out there. You said to me before we came live that this is your first live interview. I would never have guessed.
Oh.
You are a natural.
Oh,
you are a natural. And I hope when you get your next book out, contact me and we'll get you back on live.
I definitely will. Thank you so much, Miss Tina. It's been
And thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for the brilliant questions. And you're going to announce the winner tonight, Beth?
It'll be tomorrow before 8 o'clock my time. So it'll be before 5 o'clock your time.
Okay, tomorrow. Okay, I'm making a note of that. And everyone knew that here. So just make sure you pick a winner that was live here watching us.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good night, everybody. And thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.